Welcome to reading the New Testament in original Greek. We're reading in this session Matthew chapter 3 verse 10. Idide I axini pros tin rizan ton dendron kite. Pan un dendron mi pi un karpon kalon e koptete ke ispire valete. Even now the axe is lying at the root of the trees. Every tree, therefore, that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Now, this is a pretty eschatological judgment, and a very extreme saying, claims that John is making. Now, EV means, well, in this verse, pretty much it's not the problem of the grammar itself, but many of the words probably you're unfamiliar with if you couldn't translate it by yourself directly. There's some of the words that Matthew hasn't used it so far. The grammar itself is a pretty simple. Almost all you have to know is the form in passive mostly and one participle. Evi means already. So already, however, iaxini. Iaxini itself is a nominative case. The word, if you look up this exact form in a dictionary, well, you will find yourself as well. Iaxini means the X. What ox also already suggests X. So the X. What about the X? Now we have the subject in a nominative case, excuse me. Then we have to find the verb. What we have at the end of the sentence, we have the verb. Well, it seems like then he's emphasizing what's before and by putting the main verb at the end. Gite, well, circumflex is already there. It's the verb itself. It's in the first person is gime, with the me say te. Te usually then refers to the third person, right? Iaxini, the eggs, gite. The eggs already is to be lied or to lie or laid there, right? Gite is in the present form. It's lying somewhere, right? The eggs is lying somewhere. The gime I have put in here, and the gisome, this is a future form. A gimin, this is in an imperfect form. Well, you won't face any other form in the New Testament. So this rarely occurs. Also with axini, the axinis in the Septuagint, it's also rarely used throughout the Septuagint. If I remember correctly, it's about 7-8 times it's used. And also in the New Testament, it's used only in the Matthew 3:10 and also parallel verses in the Gospel. Now we have axini, the subject, and a verb kites it's lying there, and where there, and the there is modified with pros until dendron. Look at here, pros plus tin reason with accusative. Now what we have after is a genitive. Unless genitive is an absolute form and separating itself, usually in most of cases, it's connected. That's a basic functions of the genitive. It's connected, describing the extra informations of reason here. Reason ton dendron. What reason is an accusative case with the tin as a feminine accusative. Then of course the ending of reason alpha ni is an accusative form, right? Then what is the nominative case then in a feminine? Riza, a as a an, right? It begins with a. Riza is a nominative that you can look up dictionary with the riza. Then from there you can decline rizan as an accusative. Pros rizan. Now ton is the genitive plural case. Well, in a nominative, and also it's in the same and a neutral too, and and a feminine as well. Ton dendron. Dendron, it's actually the neutral noun of dendron with omicron ni. Ton dendron. Now, reason ton dendron it modifies ton dendron modifies the reason, and the reason means the root. Pros indicates the directions or towards. So towards the root of dendron means the tree. So the roots of the trees with the plural. So the X, the one single X, is towards the root of the trees. That's interesting, isn't it? It's lying there. That's what the first sentence means. Now, pan, un, all, or every, each in a singular. But what do we have? Dendron. Now we have here in a neutral and a nominative case. Now it's a singular. Then we translate pan with every or each. So every tree, un is then or therefore. Every tree, mi, pi un. Mi, it's a negation. Now, what is a pi un? We have seen this one in the verse 9 as well. Pi eo. Now, what is the ending with a circumflex on top of the omicron epsilon? Now, from the pi eo, now we have the ending of the participle there. Well, let's take a look. We have the present participle on, usa on. I have written down this all nominative, feminine, and neutral cases. In which case, can you take a guess? In which case will make with omicron epsilon be un when it's combined? When it's contracted with the epsilon, of course, the ending omega falls off from the basic word PAO. Omega falls off with an epsilon, and the ending combinations with the ending on usa on, which case makes un. Well, this is a good practice that we have learned the contract regulations, the rules, in the very beginning in the chapter 1. I think it was verse 17 or 18, so I gave the some of the list over there. Now, PEO with the PE plus the neutral case, on, E plus omicron, makes it U omega epsilon. Now also you could have taken a guess because we have, now this is a participle as I mentioned. Now this participle grammatical connections is made to, now who's doing it? Who's making it? Who's the subject of the action? Pieo. Now dendron. Pan dendron, of course, in here. Dendron is what? Neutral. So we have the participle connecting, describing the action of the subject, dendron. Of course, then you have to make it neutral, the same gender. So, piun, not making. What is making? Accusative object. We need accusative object. Carpon, calon. Calon is an adjective modifying the carpon. A fruit. We have seen this one as verse 9. If you don't remember, please look at in the verse 9 previous, just before. So, a good fruit. Of course, then the NRSV translated in the verse 9, so who bears a good fruit. At the time, that was a worthy of the fruit. But good fruit, not making. So the tree that is not making a good fruit. Now we have the verb ek koptete. Ek plus kopto, right? Well, I gave the pause because I want you to actively participate in here. ek kopto. Yeah. For the kopto itself is what? To root out or take out, right? To pull out, kopto. Now we have the ect with the extra the prepositions emphasis out of, right? So that makes it together to pull out or root off or something. Now, what is it the X is doing here? Now, which a tree that does not make a good fruit will root out. But here, look at from the kopto. Now we have koptete. Ete. It's a medium passive forms in the present ending, right? Of course, the third person singular. So in a passive, of course, then it's a passive because although the form itself, a medium passive, it's the same, but it's not going to do it by yourself. So in its medium, it's not, it's irrelevant. So passive will be rooted out. Okay, so every tree, sorry, the subject was pan dendron. Every tree will, every tree is going to be rooted out. It's in a present form. That does not make a good fruit. Or we can switch to simply the sentence structures. Every tree that does not make a good fruit is going to be rooted out. Ek koptete with the passive. Now, que is per valete. And is the preposition gives a direct also directions like a pros towards. Is also has an into towards something. Now, per also it's a simply the words that you can look up in the dictionary. Per means fire. So into fire. Well, we don't have any definite article or articles. Now, valete. It's from the verb valo. Now you can see also ete as in ekoptete. Now you can take a guess and then from there ete. Of course, then it's in a passive form. Ete. Now you see the double lambda in the middle. It gives indications that it's a present form. Why? From the valo, if you see the future, the lambda falls off, one of them, and also an aorist, perfect, perfect medium passive, and aorist passive. The form there is no double lambda, so you can see the double lambda. It's used in the present form. So valete, present, passive. Valo means to throw, so will be thrown into fire, right? Valo. Usually valo you could have the accusative object plus where you throw something somewhere, right? It's in the full sense. So it could valo usually could take accusative object and also with the prepositions giving the directions. This is the vel, vol, vli is the key syllables I usually recognize these words from valo. So vel, vol, vli. I want you to remember together. These are some of the roots that the valo takes. Okay, this is the verse 10. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please leave a comments. And I will look forward in our next session.